Hi guys, today I'm going to review the Dell Inspiron 14. It is a 14-inch Ultrabook, kind of slightly more focused towards mainstream or budget devices. Is it a good deal or not? We will see in my full review. Let's damn it! As always, let's start with the design and the build quality. And the first thing you can already see here, the device is completely made out of aluminum, and this makes it feel quite premium and really nice. But let's get around the ports first. Here we have the charging port, full-size HDMI, USB 3.0, one of the two stereo speakers, Kensington lock. On the front we have an LED for charging and storage. On the right side we have the second stereo speaker, headphone jack, full-size SD card slot and the micro USB 3.0 again. At the bottom we see the ventilation and the rubber feet. That's pretty much it. One thing I have to complain about is this sharp edge, because the weird thing is the device is beveled all around but not at the bottom. And this is where it's pretty sharp, and I almost scratched my table. It didn't, but I think it's more just because my table was rugged enough. But this is really sharp. Not that it hurts, but it's just not so comfortable to hold on. Otherwise, in terms of design, like mentioned, we have all these nice beveled edges here, and these really feel nice, because when we talk about the keyboard real quick, I will zoom in. The good thing about the keyboard is you won't scratch your arm when you're resting it on it, and it feels pretty nice. The keyboard itself feels a little bit shallow, the key travel is okay, but the feedback isn't as good as I would wish for it to be. But otherwise, once you get a bit used to it, it's a really good keyboard because the layout is pretty nice and you can type pretty fast on it after all, because it really picks up every button click. As for the touchpad itself, it seems a bit small due to this dividing line, because the whole thing is touchable. But for me it just seemed as it is smaller, but it's after all okay. The good thing is the touch response is really nice, and it picks up multi-touch gestures better than any Dell touchpad I had so far. So the keyboard is not really on XPS level, but the touchpad is. There's one more complaint I have though, and that is the hinge again, because you can't open the device with one hand. It will just lift up, and then you could also scratch the device. You need two hands because the hinge is very stiff, and just to see at about this point it will lift. It's no issue because it is way more than you would usually have to. This is okay, but the hinge again. Otherwise pretty nice. The design looks great. It's pretty lightweight and it looks and feels pretty premium. So in overall, the design and build quality is really great, apart from the pretty sharp edge at the bottom. Let's take a closer look at the display. We have a 14-inch display with a resolution of 3066 by 768. And as you can already maybe see, it's no IPS screen. It is very responsive and the touchscreen is very precise. This is the good thing, but at the qualities of the display itself, as you can see, we are at 100%. It is not super bright, the brightness is okay, and the blacks are actually quite good. The colors are okay. As you can see, especially videos look quite nice, but since it's no IPS display, the issue are just the viewing angles. And I can't really show them up because I have a hard time even picking this picture up, and it doesn't look so bad maybe as it does over the monitor as I see right now. But I still have to say it is the biggest weakness of this device. It is quite good in terms of brightness, the solid is black, the colors are okay, but the resolution and the viewing angles are the main issues here. There is also a 1080p version on this laptop for this display, and I would highly recommend get the 1080p version. It shouldn't really cost any more, but the quality should be way better, because if you are used to those low-res displays, it should be no problem, and if you are okay with maybe subpar viewing angles, it should also be okay. But if you are used to any IPS display and a good resolution, I just can't recommend this display. It is usable, it is acceptable, but it is nothing that you could really enjoy. After the average at best display, what about the sound? Let's quickly check it. We are already at 100%, and this is already my biggest complaint here, the maximum volume. It is maybe 80% of what I would at least wish to have. The stereo effect is quite nice since we have stereo, and the overall sound is okay. We have a little bit of bass, and the otherwise tonal balance in terms of mids and treble is quite nice. But it's just the maximum volume that upsets me a bit. Otherwise it is okay, but not really more than anything good for YouTube or anything else. We already know the display and the speakers aren't the strong suits of this device, but what about the performance? And here I can clearly say this is way better, because if you check the SSD stats, this is pretty nice. If you get the full HD version, I don't think there is an SSD option, but the hard drive should still be very good. If we quickly check the performance, the browser is very smooth, of course, with Internet Explorer with the mouse or the touchpad. This is no issue. Same goes for Chrome, not as smooth, but still very good. So I actually have to say, if you go into any modern UI app, you will see everything is super smooth. It's loading right now. But otherwise, performance is very good. As you can see, very smooth. And also the PDF performance, if you quickly check that, absolutely crazy smooth. Everything is fine. So just to make it real quick, in terms of performance, this is so far the best ULV CPU I've seen on a laptop performing, but this is most probably due to the lower resolution. But if you want to do video editing or anything else, this device is definitely suited for, but not with this resolution. So if you have the higher res display, you can also enjoy PDFs and everything. But doing all of this with the low resolution screen shouldn't be the most satisfying experience. So get the full HD version and then you have a really great performing device here. The next things in line in this review is battery life, noise and heat, and this is definitely one of the strongest parts of this device, because a full charge needs 3 hours and the battery lasts very long. I had no issue with about 7 hours of solid use, maybe even way more, and this with a brightness of 60 or 70%. It is the best performing Ultrabook I've had so far in terms of battery life. It even beat my MacBook Pro, any Lenovo or any other Dell device. So definitely big thumbs up here. In terms of noise, it's also very great, because the device is maybe 90%, 95% of all the time completely silent. Only if you do heavy tasks, the fans kick in, but not even then really loud. They are noticeable and they get louder, of course, but they are very subtle, very pleasant to hear, so no problem at all. But like I said, in normal daily tasks, they won't ever kick in. This is another great thing. The heat also. The device doesn't get hot at all. A little bit at the bottom here, but if you use it on your lap, you will never have issues any burning or so, because once it should get warm, the fans will kick in, very subtle, so nothing to complain here. So in terms of battery life, noise and heat, definitely one of the best I've seen so far. Software and bugs are the next things I want to talk about. We have Windows 8.1 here, everything runs fine. We have a lot of Dell bloat apps. They are uninstallable, but still. But the one thing I have issues here with is the software and the bugs. It's not unstable or anything like that, but after every longer period of standby, the media buttons just stop working. You have to reboot for that. This is a bit weird. Also, the device, once it's in standby and you turn it on, it needs quite a bit of time until the screen gets on. I don't know if it's a software thing or the screen needs just a little bit more. But otherwise, this is pretty much the only bug I had. Otherwise it was stable, but this is quite an annoying thing and they really should have fixed this by now. Otherwise, pretty good in software. Let's draw the line here. What do we get with this device? In terms of build quality and design, it is really nice, besides maybe the sharper bottom. Otherwise, very nice materials. It feels very premium, lightweight and still very solid. The keyboard is also very good, slightly shallow, but still nice and fine to type with. The touchpad is one of Dell's better ones for sure. Very precise, multi-touch gestures work quite fine. In terms of the display, of course, this is the biggest weakness here, because just of the low resolution and no IPS. So if definitely get the 1080p version, it should be way better in terms of everything. In terms of the speakers, the sound in overall is quite nice, but the maximum volume isn't just so high. But if you don't need that, if you have a Bluetooth speaker or anything else you could use and you don't need a really loud device, then it's okay. In terms of the software, it runs fine, it runs smooth, it runs stable, but we have the media button bug here. Maybe it can be solved, just ask the support for this. Otherwise, in terms of performance, this device is really one of the best I've used so far in the mobile, in the ultra low voltage apartment. Because for an Ultrabook, it performs really snappy and a really good touch response on the touch screen, really fast, everything works like a breeze. So it's really one of the better performing, maybe even the best performing Ultrabook I've used so far, but maybe mostly due to the lower resolution. I can't say how well it would perform on the 1080p screen. In terms of battery life, noise and heat, also really strong suits of this device because the battery lasts almost forever. The device is very silent and it doesn't really get warm. So this is really great after all. But would I recommend this device now? And I have a bit of a hard time. Definitely, I can't really recommend the low-res version. If you are okay with low-res devices, and then it's fine with no IPS. But I would definitely, then go for the 1080p version. I don't know about the price differences, but if you want a really fast device that is lightweight and feels and looks very premium and solid, then I could. But would I buy it? And here I have to say definitely not, because for what you get, at least with this version, it is just a bit too pricey and doesn't deliver enough, mostly in terms of the display, because the display is my biggest gripe here. If you get a good deal and you get a 1080p version and you are good with the screen, then you get an overall very nicely designed and performing device after all. But as it is right now, I can't really recommend it to my fullest heart. So this is my conclusion for now. If you liked my review, please give me a thumbs up, share this video and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, bye.